Guys, I just had a realization. So, I was planning out my next video. My next video was going to be on, like, my predictions for the next main Five Nights at Freddy's game. Mainly because, you know, all the recent, like, teasers that Leon Riskin was doing ended up not being for Five Nights at Freddy's. So I think a lot of people were disappointed, so I kind of just wanted to talk about it again. But while planning out that video, I realized that I think we're going to be getting some major news on the next Five Nights at Freddy's game very soon. A lot sooner than I thought prior to thinking about this. To the point where, not gonna lie, if I made my full predictions video and then edited it out, there's a chance that news would come before I finished editing the video. So I want to make this quick little video to explain like why I think there's something coming soon, and also just to give a quick extra prediction of my own before something comes out. So first off, I'm just going to cover what I was going to cover in my next video about like how this game will be teased and announced. So all of the modern Five Nights at Freddy's games, Help Wanted, Security Breach, Help Wanted 2, all had their first trailers at PlayStation State of Play. Secret of the Mimic was an exception because it instead had its first teaser trailer at the 10-year anniversary. And I think we can just agree that the 10-year anniversary is a special exception. So I feel good about saying that the first trailer of Five Nights at Freddy's projects will continue to be at PlayStation State of Play. Now the other reason why I bring that up is because usually, Five Nights at Freddy's games got teased with images. That's what historically they've been announced with. They get a cool image, teasing up a new game, and that's what gets us excited. However, ever since Scott stopped like doing the teasing himself and Steel's more been doing it, it's more been announced with teaser trailers. Like Ruin got an image, but Help Wanted 2 and Secret of the Mimic, those games were announced with a teaser trailer. With again, as I said, Help Wanted 2 specifically being at PlayStation State of Play. I think the future games will be announced similarly to Help Wanted 2, where it'll be like this short little teaser trailer. It doesn't really give us a lot of information, but just a tiny little bit just to say, hey, game's coming, here's a little bit of surface level information, get excited, and then that's it, just a couple second trailer at PlayStation State of Play to announce the next game. That's what I think will happen, just like what happened with Help Wanted 2, I think that'll be the standard. So that got me thinking, to a comment. One of my commenters on my recent videos said something really interesting, that this is the longest we've waited for a Five Nights at Freddy's game to be announced for a long time. And he's right, I actually looked at the dates, and yeah, as of now, technically not as of the time they wrote the comment, but as of now, this is now the longest we've waited for a new game announcement in modern Five Nights at Freddy's. Now, it is not the longest we've waited for a game announcement proper. Oh, when I say announcement, I mean like proper announcement, by the way, not just, oh, there's a new game coming. Obviously, we got that. Obviously, we were told there's a new game coming like 2 years ago, but I mean like a proper announcement, like a first teaser or something. That's what I mean. That we have waited longer for announcements. For example, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. I mean, well, Five Nights at Freddy's 6, I should say. We didn't even know that was a thing. We thought that was like postponed while the Pizza Sim game was coming out. So we didn't really have anything really to work with. We had little things maybe, but it was very, I wouldn't say any of it was a proper build up to that game. That game kind of just launched out of nowhere for the most part. There were teasers for sure, but it felt mostly like there wasn't a lot of build up for that game. And that was about like a year, I think, over a year, I think. So we've obviously had longer times without substantial information. But this is the longest ever since Modern Five Nights at Freddy's has started up. Which means that we're probably due for this game to be announced quite soon. And there's more for that as well. If you haven't noticed, Modern Five Nights at Freddy's has been releasing a new game every 2 years. Help Wanted was in like 2019, Security Breach was 2021, Help Wanted 2 was 2023, and Secret of the Mimic was 2025. So I feel confident saying they'll probably continue this trend, and the next game will probably be 2027. But the other thing is that the year before these big releases, there's always been build-up. It's always been a quiet year that just builds up for the next game, and then the actual big release. The quiet year that builds up to the next game, and then another big release, then, you know, etc. That's kind of the pattern of the Modern Five Nights at Freddy's release schedule. Right now, we had the modern release, the most recent release last year, so this year should be the year where another game is getting teased, and that game will be like next year's Five Nights at Freddy's game. This is a trend that has been going on for, like, as I said, ever since Modern Five Nights at Freddy's has started. So again, I feel very confident that even if it's not soon and I'm wrong about that part, I'm very confident that we'll get news about the next Five Nights at Freddy's game this year at some point. Now, on to the part why I think it's soon. Remember how I said that I think that this game would be teased like a trailer, like Coop Wanted 2 when Secret Mimic ended that trailer would be at PlayStation State of Play, like Coop Wanted Security Breach and Coop Wanted 2. Yeah, so that made me think, oh, we should probably keep an eye out on the next trailer, you know, on the next PlayStation State of Play, since that'll probably be where this game's announced. So, as like next PlayStation State of Play, we should be on the lookout. Which is when it hit me. There's a leak that suggests that the next PlayStation State of Play is this week. Genuinely. It is a realistic prediction that the next Five Nights at Freddy's game, the trailer, the initial like announcement trailer, might release this week. Now, again, I could be wrong. I'm not going to say it's confirmed. I'm just saying that it's realistic enough that I wanted to put a video out there, and as I said, get at least like one quick prediction out before it happened, because I do think it's a realistic possibility. As I said, the timeline-wise, we're due for a new announcement, and this is where the new announcement would be, I would assume, this first trailer at PlayStation State of Play. I didn't even think about this until I was editing, but this would also mean it'd be kind of like a repeat of 2023, when everyone was waiting for like the news on the Ruin DLC, but then we got an entire new game announced instead. It'd kind of be the same thing now again, because everyone's waiting for Secret Mimic VR news, but then we'd get a completely new game instead. I think that'd be really funny. So, with that being said, now I'm going to give you like my one quick surface level prediction. I'm not going to go too deep into predictions because I want to save that for next video. I still do want to do a Fast Freddy's 12 video. If there is like nothing at this PlayStation State of Play, or if there is something, either way, my next video will probably be about Fast Freddy's 12 and my predictions for that. Or I guess my next video will probably be like the glitch trap video I've had scheduled for a while now that I've probably talked about in multiple videos. It's still coming. The Fast Freddy's 12 video will be the next video I'll work on though, regardless of if there's information this week or not. So the prediction I'll focus on in this video is what I think will be in the trailer. Now personally, I just think it's going to be like Coop Wanted 2 and Secret Mimics. Those first trailers that announced the game didn't really give us a lot of substantial information, just a little bit to chew on, like at the start. So I don't think there'll be anything huge, but I think we'll get the vibe of the game, so like maybe a little bit about the setting, probably not a whole room, but probably just like some sort of atmosphere based off the next game, and we'll probably get a title card, and honestly, I think it'd be more likely like Secret of the Mimic, where they just show off like a teaser of a new character. That is what I'd expect, a title card, some piece of atmosphere, and like something new. Now specifically, I think that the next game's location is going to be, obviously we know, I assume it's going to be following from Cassie's story. I think we can all be pretty confident about that. And I think that she's fallen into Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rentals. And I think Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rentals is a refurbished / expanded Murray's Costume Manor. Obviously not the manor itself, because it probably burned down, but like the underground part. I think Circus Baby's is like that, but expanded. And I think that will be the location of the next game. I've always wanted a Steel Wool Circus Baby's games. Maybe some of this is just a little bit of cope, but Help Wanted sent us to Sub-Basement G in Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rentals in the vent repair ended level. Sub-Basement G is the 7th letter, so that kind of implies we're 7 floors down underground, which means Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rentals, according to Help Wanted, is 7 floors big, which is like as big as Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex would end up being. So ever since then, I've kind of always wanted like a free roam big Steel Wool game set in Circus Babies. And I think now, with the things that have been like teased up, with like the elevator, the hallway to the elevator kind of feels this location here, with like the blue lighting, the style of fan, the style of like tubes around the walls. And Help Wanted 2, for some reason, had sister location stuff paired with Pizzaplex stuff. And then Secret Mimic happened, and some stuff there felt very reminiscent of things that would become like Five Nights at Freddy's 4 related and sister location related. So I think the games are setting up for this to be a Circus Babies game, or at least I want to see a Circus Babies game, and the games have at least enough points pointing in that direction for me to think my hope is realistic. Because as I said, there will be bias here because it's just a game I've been wanting for years, so obviously there's bias. But I think that bias has actual evidence at the moment. So that's what I expect. I think this atmosphere of this first teaser trailer might be vaguely sister location-y. I'm not going to say it'll be exactly the same, because if they're going to have a whole game set there, you'd want like different environments with different styles. So I'd probably assume it might look maybe a little, probably look a little bit different. It's also made by Steel, well, not Scott, so of course it'll look a little bit different. But I think it'll be like vaguely a little bit Sister Location reminiscent is what I'll expect from like the atmosphere of the trailer. I'm not gonna bother predicting the title card. Aside from that, there's also the one new thing. It'll probably show off a character. I'm gonna be honest, if they show off a new thing in the teaser trailer, it'll probably be a new character we haven't seen before. Just like how Jackie was kind of like theory bait, whereas a character we hadn't seen before was kind of reminiscent of some stuff we've seen before. Probably a similar thing here. Yeah, I would assume a new character would show up. Or maybe it'll be like a new version of an old character. That's another possibility. If this is Circus Babies, we might see a modern version of Circus Baby, right? That could be a possibility too. But I definitely think we'll see a character, and I think it'll probably be something new about it. And that is basically my prediction for the teaser trailer. Any further predictions, I'll save for my actual prediction video. So yeah, let me guys know what you think of like all this. Do you agree with me that it's realistic that we could get a trailer like this week, at this week's PlayStation State of Play? I think it's realistic. I'm not going to say it's going to happen. Again, I really want to iterate this. I'm not going to say it's going to happen. I've been wrong with my predictions before. I thought Secret of the Mimics VR mode would be out by now. And look, we've got like almost nothing relating to that. We've got one vague Steelable tweet, that's about it. So my predictions are wrong all the time, right? But I think it's a possibility enough that I wanted to get at least one quick surface level prediction out there. And I do think that it'll be kind of like Sister Location vibey. Let me know what your predictions are for the trailer. But I will see you in the next video.